Have you seen something like this before? Or this? Or even this? This is Touhou, a series of bullet hell shooter games created by a Japanese developer named Zune, where you navigate through stages filled with complex bullet patterns and battle unique bosses. Thanks to Zune's lenient stance on fan creations, Touhou's influence extends far beyond the official games, spawning a community of fans creating their own remixes, artwork, and even full-fledged fan games. Enter Touhou Luna Nights. A Metroidvania-style action-adventure game that puts a new spin on the beloved Touhou universe. You play as Sakuya, the time-manipulating maid, who finds herself in a parallel world with her powers stolen. As you progress through the game, you slowly reclaim your abilities as you explore and battle your way through enemies. While the game's story is fairly simple, serving mostly as an excuse plot, the developers have placed a strong emphasis on the gameplay mechanics and the overall feel of the platforming, which is exceptionally well executed. Your main form of attack are throwing knives, which consumes MP. This forces you to think strategically about how you approach enemies. As Sakuya, you possess time powers that can be used in two ways. A time slow, which significantly slows down time, and a full-on time stop, which freezes everything in place except you. These powers are not only cool, but also essential for progressing through the game. Whether it's solving platforming puzzles or stacking your knives for powerful attacks against a boss. To balance these seemingly overpowered abilities, the developers have introduced some nerfs, such as making the time powers limited and susceptible to being drained by this red smoke that appears in certain levels and boss fights. Another interesting mechanic is the grace system, a high risk high reward feature that grants you small amounts of HP and MP for getting close to enemies or their projectiles. This mechanic is a staple in Touhou games, and it works well for the game as you start becoming more strategic in your movements to sustain yourself as time goes by. As you kill enemies, you actually get gems that increases particular stats for Sakuya. The boosts are minor, which means you'll probably need a lot of gems for it to be substantial. Otherwise, it can be sold at a shop for money, which is then used to purchase consumables or upgrades, like increasing the time or the amount of knives you can throw within your time stop ability. Although the game is relatively linear compared to the other Metroidvanias, with backtracking being mostly optional, the overall experience is great. The boss fights are particularly enjoyable, featuring familiar faces from the Touhou series, with challenging attack patterns that initially seem impossible to dodge. However, as you learn the patterns, you start identifying openings and ways to dodge or graze through the attacks. This game also includes a leveling system that slightly increases your attack and defense stats, so you could technically grind out levels if you were stuck in a particular boss fight. I've avoided showing too much of the game since it's relatively short and can be completed within a few hours, so if you're a fan of challenging action platformers or boss rush games, you should definitely give this game a try.